we're gonna go over the range of motion stuff. Okay, so we got Nate here. All right, and yeah, we're going to go over some of these things. Okay, so first we're going to start off with hip range of motion. So I know that we need to go ahead and check his hip range of motion because whenever we did the screens, as he did his overhead squat, he got a lot of extension through his low back. Usually whenever you start to get a lot of extension through your low back, it's because of the lack of internal rotation at the hips. So I want to go ahead and make sure and see if that's what's causing that. And then also, whenever it came to the toe touch, he had a little bit of a hard time shifting his weight back, right? And so, since he had a little bit of a hard time shifting his weight back, that's giving me a cue as to, like, is he lacking in hip flexion, right? Is he, or are the hamstrings just very tight, and that's why he couldn't do that? Is it a center of mass thing, right? So, like, if you can't shift your center of mass forwards and backwards, then that's going to affect how you squat, how you hinge, how you do all of these other things, right? And so it wasn't an internal pressure thing on the toe touch. It was more of a weight shift. So we're going to dive a little bit more into those things right here. And then he's also a baseball player. So whenever it comes to all the baseball players, I want to go ahead and check their shoulder range of motion to make sure that we're, not as susceptible towards injuries. Now, this is just a range of motion thing, so it's not going to be able to completely predict anything, but it is going to tell us things that we can do with our programming going forward. All right, so let's go and start off with the hip range of motion as well as the hip flexion and whatnot. So if you want to go and lay down right here, Nick, hopefully you can still hear me. All right, so from here, you're going to bend the knee. Okay, now you just relax. What I like to do is I like to go ahead and kind of whirl around both ways. So that way I know that they're not trying to activate and do the motion for me. They're just completely relaxed. If they're going through the motion, then that's going to, it can give a false positive, a false, right? It can give all types of readings at that point in time whenever what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to check the structures, right? So, like, how is that femur bone going up into the acetabulum or the hip bone, right? So, right here, hip flexion, you're going to try to drive this knee going forward. Now, you're going to go just as far until it starts to kick you out. So, right there, that's about where the leg starts to try to go to the side. All right. So, you're going to push up until you start to feel it kind of go out to the side, which is right there. So, right here, what we got about 125 degrees of hip flexion. If this were to be 90 degrees, right, we're here 130 degrees on the safe side, right? And then what I like to do is I like from this position, I like to go ahead and go back and forth. Then I like to ask, are you feeling a pinch on the front side? No, not at all. Okay, cool. Because if you have a pinch, then that can be FAI, which is a femoral acetabulum impingement. You have a cam or a pincer. We're not going to go too far into that right now, but that usually is letting me know that there's a bony overgrowth, and we need to take that into consideration going forward. In the baseball, hockey, populations, you're going to come across that quite a bit. Okay. From here, we'll go ahead and we won't do the other side on camera. Yes, we will. All right. So right here, we're going to do a hamstring test. So the touching your toes isn't really for the hamstrings, right? That's more of like a pressure, a weight shift type of thing. This is where we can really find out if he has tight hamstrings. So right here, you always want to go ahead and get them to smash their low back into the ground, just like that. You see how that unlocks a lot more range right there? That's wise, because if he has a big arch in his low back, then that's going to limit what the hamstrings are doing. It's already causing a stretch, right? So we want to get that stretch out of there and then go ahead and continue on. From here, you want to go ahead and keep this leg over here locked down and make sure that that toe is pointing towards the ceiling. Go ahead and grab that kneecap, make sure it's in a straight line, and we're looking good right there. Okay, we've got about 90 degrees. Okay, then from here, we're going to go and get the range of motion. So we would just relax, relax, relax. Usually I like to do the hip flexion, then the internal, external rotation, and then the hamstring, but I don't know why I just went out of order right there. So from here, you're gonna grab the thigh. Okay. Sometimes if it's a real big guy or a real strong guy, then I like to go ahead and just get him like this right here, so that way we can really get rotation through that femur. But with Nate, I'm just gonna grab his thigh, get him to relax, and then rotate as far as we can go. So we got about 25, 30 degrees right there of internal rotation. Same with external rotation. I'll go ahead and write that stuff down. Now with these range of motion tests, a lot of the times there's normative data saying that hey, we want all people to be within these ranges, but with the athletic population, there's a lot of natural adaptations that are going to start to occur, and so we want to take that into account with their sport, right? So like if you look at baseball, for instance, you pitchers, if they're right-handed, they only pitch with their right hand, right? They're not going out there and pitching with their left hand, so they're only rotating one way over and over and over again. So that's going to cause, muscular adaptations, bony adaptations, all the above, right? Same thing with hockey. Same thing with football. In a lot of ways, is one-dimensional. If you're a left tackle, well, guess what? You're usually going off to the left a lot more than you are the right. In a wide receiver, for the most part, if you line up on the right side, you're usually going left. You do go right, don't get me wrong, but you're usually going to the left because that's the open side of the field. That in all sports, you're going to get natural adaptations. So all that normative data doesn't really always play into account. All right. And so right there, we're definitely going to want to open up his external rotation as well as his internal rotation just a little bit, but that's just so that way he has more space in the hips. Let's go in and go to the other side and do the other one. Or sorry, I'm actually going to put the camera over here so that way you can see just how much internal and external rotation he got. Test twice. That's about what we're working with there for internal rotation. Test twice. That's what we're working with external rotation. Since the camera's already over there, I'm just going to go ahead and do external and internal rotation over here. That's his internal rotation of the right side. If you notice, again, this is a natural adaptation within baseball players, right? And it also, with what's called a left AIC, that's more of like Postural Restoration Institute stuff. I'm not going to go too far into that right now, but this is common. Limited on the external rotation, so we'll want to open that up. But internal rotation, he has plenty, right? What he's at about 45 degrees over here. External rotation, he's at about 25 degrees. It doesn't have to be exact numbers as long as we're close to that range. If you want to get a goniometer out and get exact numbers, that's fine. So that way you can start to learn what the different ranges look like. But for the most part, we don't have to be exact. Go ahead and smash that low back. Yep, let's go ahead and get a straight leg raise. Good, about 90 degrees. With the straight leg raise, I like for them to go ahead and do that actively also, especially with how common hamstring pulls are. Go ahead. Smash that low back. There you go. All right, can you go a little bit further? All right, go ahead and do the other side. Good. I like to do a passive and active because if there's a huge discrepancy between passive and active, that's going to up the likelihood of an injury. Injuries are very multifaceted, so I'm not going to sit here and say that one of the just this metric is going to determine that. Again, we're not trying to predict injury here. We're just trying to do things to try to prevent it as best as we can. That right there, active and passive, is one way to do that. Okay, then we'll go ahead and get hip flexion over here. Let's see what he's working with. That's where he's kicking me out right there. Do you feel a pinch right there?
Nope.
Nope. All right. So about right there. We got about 120 degrees, something like that. Let's go ahead and write this stuff down. Uh-uh. I'm not worried about his ankle range of motion because whenever we did the overhead squat, he had plenty of range down there, so I'm not going to worry about that one. Now, I do want to go ahead and get his hip abduction, or as far out as the leg can go to the side. That's going to tell me the length of his groin, right? So right here, this one, we're just going to keep these toes pointed forward and keep this glued down as we go out to the side as far as we can go. Okay, so he's at about 80 degrees, something like that. Same thing, about 80 degrees right there. So we're going to go ahead and write that down. I like this one because it's going to tell us uh, how much length he gets through his groins, right? Do we need to go ahead and figure out how to lengthen those out if it's a structural issue? Because if your groins can't lengthen out in different ways, that's going to restrict you. Let's say you're a pitcher going down the mound. If you can't open up those groins, then you're going to have a hard time with your lead leg block. Let's say that you're a wide receiver, right? If your groins are super tight all the time and you're not able to change direction very well, that's going to limit you,